Good afternoon, Ntokoza. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Warwick. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you thought the music at the start there was a little bit of a nice touch. I just decided, you know what, it just beats the uncomfortable silence for our students having to wait.
No, it's just nice. I like the music. You can play it. I don't mind.
But Ntokoza, the session has started, so I've stopped my screen share, so
Okay.
I can hand over to you. All right, we are live on YouTube and we are live on Zoom, and it's ready for you to rock and roll.
Excellent, thank you.
Pleasure.
Right. All right, so. All right, good day, everyone. First of all, I'd like to welcome you back. We have covered some webinars already. I think we've covered 3 already, so we're moving on to the 4th one today. And I believe so far so good. We are going to continue with our chapter, which is chapter 20, geometric thinking and geometric concepts. I'll move on to the next slide. We'll try to recap of what we've already covered already. We've kind of covered the model that we could apply in geometry, which was developed by Fanny Hiele a while ago, and we've learned that it actually designed in stages. And we move on and try to see if we could apply this in different schools. So we last time we've tried to understand some research work that we could use so we could apply this model. So today we are going to move on and see if we could apply the transformation and hopefully we could also try and cover locations and also visualization. So that will actually come in the later stages, possibly the locations and the visualizations. We can actually cover this in our next, which is our last webinar, which is next week. But today we'll try and understand transformation, but we already have some knowledge, some ideas of what our transformations are. So we're going to try and see if we could expand our knowledge from what we have prior knowledge. All right, so the transformation, what exactly are transformation? We know these are actually changes in a position or shape or size of a shape. So the movement here, they do not change the size or a shape of the object. Since they are not changing the size or a shape, we tend to call these ones are rigid. So the movement are rigid. So we also have other one which change the size and shape. This one we call them dilate. So because they dilate, they can be small in size. We can just expand it. They become large in size. So they can also dilate in size. So the other thing that you could also add on this, we could say we have these are basically usually 3 types of rigid movements, which are actually translation. We could also call it sliding or slide. The other one will be a reflection, which we say flip. We like to call it flip as well to shorten. And the other one will be rotation or just turning. Right? So we can also add that with symmetries or symmetry lines. So it's a very nice combination when you combine. Now I'll show you this toward our last toward the last slide. So you can combine the transformation with symmetry. It's a very nice combination. All right. So we can also try and see if we could apply the Van Heerle model with transformation as well. Because it's always nice to have a background. In this case, we have level 0. So here you have no knowledge or no any prior knowledge. So you just deal with what you see. So here you have transformation at this level that involves the introduction to the basic concept of slides or flips or just turns. And also we know that you can actually initially in the development of line symmetry, and also we have other type of symmetry which we call rotational symmetry. Right. So with that, we know that we actually have this primary level of knowledge, just like we had with the shapes. Here we are using just these types of concepts. All right, so we could move on and see these types of rigid motion. So we have what we call a translation, moving from one position to the next. So that requires a distance, because you have moved an object from one place to the next. And the other one you can just reflect. This one is just a mirror. So you have an image, or you have an object, and you have between an object and an image, you will have what we call a mirror line. So a mirror line, or a line of reflection. So that will actually reflect an object. And then the last one that we have is what we call a rotation. So here you need to have a point of a sensor of rotation, where you can rotate your object to a new image, right? So this one you can actually rotate in different sizes. It could be any size from 0 to 360 degrees. All right, so this is actually what we know. We've been doing this for quite some time. Then we move on to line of symmetry, right? So line of symmetry, how do we apply line of symmetry? We know that with line of symmetry or symmetry line, we could find them in many objects and many places. It could be a natural occurring line symmetry, or it could be something that has been designed by us human beings, right? So we could also, at this level, you could apply it with shapes. So I have different types of shapes. So here you could see that with the shapes, you can apply this line of symmetry. I hope you could see my pointer as well today. So I have a three type of shapes, or 3 colors with different shapes. The top one is more or less like orange, and the next shapes are green, and the last shapes are blue. So the first one, which are at the top, there's a sentence. All these have something in common. So you could analyze this and see what is common between these 5 shapes, right? So if I apply my line symmetry, right, at least I can be able to see, I can be able to get exactly the same shape. So if I apply, say, use the first shape, which is a square, and then I apply my line of symmetry or symmetry line, I will get exactly the same shape if I put it exactly at the center, and between the side. So in a way that I can be able to slice that shape and get it and get 2 pieces of it. So that will be exactly the same piece of the other piece. which will be exactly more or less like a mirror shape or mirror image of the other one, right? So the other one, you could have the other one say none of these has it. So you could ask yourself, what will be that one? So with that one, I could see that if I apply my line of symmetry, for the first shape, if I cut it exactly at the center, one side will not be exactly like the other side. I hope you guys could actually see my point. I'm just pointing and trying to slide and see if I can make sense of this one, right? So the other one, the one which is below, learners could be asked if which of these have it, right? So obviously it could be many ways of what could be that. It could be, you could see the first one is four-sided, the other one is also four-sided, and the other one is is actually a square. The other one is five-sided. So as an educator, you can actually ask a question and pose a question: which of these has say 5 sides or 4 sides, or which could actually have a mirror image of the other one when it's being sliced, or you put a line of symmetry in between. So it could be up to you as an educator trying to find some information from learners, right? The other one, you could move on and see if you could actually explore the line of symmetry with dot grids, right? So you can see on the right hand side, you have a half of the shape, and you can actually reflect that shape to find them exactly the same shape on the other side. It's like folding a page, a piece of page, which has some drawing on one side, and then you fold it, and then you unfold it, and you get exactly the same piece of the side that you started with on the other side as well. Same with the other shape that we see below. You can put a symmetry line, and you could either draw it, or you can just fold it. You can fold it this shape, and you get exactly the same shape on the other side, right? Then we move on to level 1, right? To level 1 thinker. So now you have able to just move from talking about just plain basic of transformation. You move on to try and see if you could be able to get the students to understand, because here at this stage you find that you are actually trying to find out if the learners can actually analyze the transformation. Yeah, it's a bit of analytical and application of shape. So yeah, you can have like 2 types of activities seem to be appropriate at this level. You could either apply what we call a composition of transformation, and also here we can also apply what we call tessellation. So we can create tessellations as well. All right, so let's just try and see if we could understand what exactly do we mean by composition and also tessellation, creating of tessellations, right? So that's the first one. So here we're trying to compose, right? So when I compose, that means I will apply more than one type of transformation. Usually we apply one. So if we've been asked or examined, we tend to be asked one time, say apply the translation or apply the rotation. But now here, when you compose a composition of transformation, that means you apply more than once, right? So here you could notice that L1. L1 is actually what we start with. That's an object, right? So that is actually what you are starting with. So that's an L1. So you're starting with L1. You are going to mirror L1. So you have a mirror line. You're going to mirror L1, and you get an image, which is image 1. So that's an image 1. So that usually we stop here, right? If we try to find a reflection, right? So with composition, you can move on as well. You try to find other types. So you can have this one. You have you can also try and find the other one, which is L2. You can also go ahead and also try and find L3, right? So here you can notice that with L1, L1 was basically reflected across line J or mirror line. So you can just it was reflected and also was rotated 1/4 10 about a point A. So there is a point A, and resulted with point with L2. So you have L1, which was reflected about that point A, and about 1/4, and it ended up with the image 2, which is L2, right? With L1 also you can rotate it about 1/4 10 point A, right, which is that one, and you could end up with image 3, right? So you can end up with actually image 3 as well. So you can apply more than one type. In this case, we have applied a reflection, and also we have applied the rotation, right? So we have applied 2. So we could also try. You could also try and apply. That's the other one, where you have applied the A, B, C, D, and then you have mirrored that using a line M, which is a mirror line. Our mirror line is line M. So you get A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime, right? So using image 1, which is A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, we can also apply another mirror line, right? So you can apply a mirror line, which is line M. So we can actually mirror that one to get another image, which is A2 prime, B2 prime, C2 prime, and D2 prime, right? So we have applied more than one transformation at the same time. The other one that you guys are familiar with is a sliding. You can just say you slide an object to 2 units horizontally to the right, and slide it vertically 2 units up. So that's the other one that you guys are, I think you are familiar with that one, just to slide an object, right? So the other one, you could see that one is slightly also have a combination of the 2. You start with an object, you have slide at that object to get primes, and then you actually reflected the object using a mirror line. A mirror line would be that line which is below those two objects. So that's the other one. So you can have primes. So that's the other way that you could also try and apply all the compositions. There are many types of the combination. You could apply as many combinations as possible. It's up to you. as an educator, which type of combinations that you like to apply, because you'll notice that in your classroom, you will have a different learners with different abilities. So you could try and see if you could apply the different combinations, so you could see if they are able to cope. Right. So obviously, some of the students may not cope with more than one combination, but definitely you'll find one or two learners in your classroom that will actually enjoy the different types of combinations. Right. So we can move on to the other one, which we call it dilation. So here we just dilate the shape. So here shapes are not rigid, so they actually change in sizes. So they see the one that we have on the screen. We have what you call a center of dilation. So you could start with PQR as our shape. That's a triangular shape. We start with, we can dilate that, expand it, and get a slightly larger shape, which is P'1, Q'1, and R'1, right? So you can actually dilate that. Also, you can make this shape be smaller than the object that we started with. So instead of having that shape ahead of the object that we started with, that could actually be behind. So notice that if you can design that shape just behind the object, will actually, the object at this case will be an image. Will be slightly smaller than the actual object, right? So you can actually make it smaller, or you can make it larger as well, right? So then obviously we have you can actually design this dilation in many ways, or many forms, right? So you can put a center of dilation anyway as well. It depends which site you like to apply that focal point or a point of dilation, right? So we have on one side we have what we call a pre-image. Remember, a pre-image is also an object. That's what you start with, right? And then you get an image. So that's actually, we have expanded this object. So we've started with pre-image, and we ended up with an image, right? So the next one, you could either have I've started with a pre-image. At least this one is just showing, you could see pre-image A, B, C. And then we have a center of dilation, and that you can actually expand. You can expand, and again, it's up to you how long or how large is usually the shape you like. So it could be small, it could be large. So you have A prime, B prime, and C prime with that one as well. So you can do it in many ways, right? Right. Let's see if we could find anyone with any questions before we move on to tessellations. All right. Are we getting any questions here? Let me see if I could find any questions.
In Takoza, it looks like there are no questions at the moment on YouTube or on Zoom.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So that's good enough. Right. So we could see now. Right. So far we have covered all type of transformations. We also try and apply line of symmetry, and we also learn a bit about dilation, right? So this one is not familiar with us. We don't use this one a lot, dilation, right? So it is now you have some knowledge with dilation, right? So dilation is not rigid, whereas the other transformation, the three types, are actually rigid. You just use them as they are, right? Then you move on to tessellation, right? There's nothing special about tessellation, right? So we know with tessellation, we basically replicating of what we have. So we can replicate. So let's see, right? So let's start with that image one. So we start with image one. So number one, we start with a simple shape. We could see that simple shape that looks like a square, or you could call it a parallelogram, but it's a four-sided shape. So that's number one. So you start with that shape. We're trying to apply tessellation, right? So now the next thing you draw the same curve on two opposite sides. So I've applied that one on the opposite side. So I put two curves there, right? So you can see the curves in blue. So I can apply curves. And moving to the third one, been told that you rotate a curve on the midpoint of one side. So you could see that that one has been actually rotated, right? So it's up to you again how much you like to rotate, right? So you can even try this by yourself. You can take pictures, or you can just visit ECI and get the slides and try and see how we actually tessellate it, because here we're trying to tessellate. So we've already covered step one, step two, step three. Then now the last step is moving to step four. Here we actually rotate a curve on the midpoint of the other side using the tile for tessellation, which is image two. So that one, right? So you notice that once you actually try and replicate as many of these as possible, you'll end up with this type of image, which is image two, right? So with image two, we've been told that column of the resulting tile will now match a like column that is rotated to one complete 10. Then we've been also been asked to find this rotated column in the tessellation shown here. Right, so this is a nice exercise that you could try it by yourself, right? I can encourage you guys to take pictures and see if it makes sense. I know right now it does not make any sense. It's very confusing, but with time you notice that it actually makes sense, because with tessellation you start with just a simple shape. And then you apply some other transformation. Here you have noticed that we've applied rotation, right? With the rotation, we're able to replicate and find other forms, and from those forms we'll be able to get as many shapes as possible, which are exactly the same as the shape that we started with. And then that basically tessellation. Or you can just try and go to what's this website? I'm trying to find this website. Khan Academy. You could try and find a bit about tessellation. You can just try and understand that just a simple form of tessellation, right? So and then you can take it from there, and then you come and come back and see if you can understand this one as well, right? Then we move on to level two, right? So we're able to cover level 0, just simple basic of transformation, and then the next one was level 1, where we apply. Then the next one is I'll try and see how to use the understanding of symmetry and transformation. We try to join them. We combine the two and see if we could make sense out of these two types of this combination, right? Right. So the the level, this level actually already noticed that it deals with the combination of the two, either symmetry, of symmetry, and also of transformation. Right. So we have these shapes that we see on this grid. We have they are in red. Right. So this is a nice exercise because you're trying to make sense. You already understand about symmetries. You already understand about transformation. Right. So now here, based on application, and see if you can make sense. Right. So here you've been asked to find all the possible shapes made with 5 squares or 6 squares. 6 squares will be basically hexaminions. Whereas 5 will be pentaminions. Obviously, if it's 3, it will be tri, and so on and so on. Or you could find 6 equilateral triangles, and so on. Right. So in this exercise, you could actually this could be a nice exercise for your learners. So you can say you find 5 squares. You could put them all in one side, and you can ask them about the movement, right? So I hope you can actually see my cursor again. I'm trying to find. Let's start with the one that's actually a straight line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could see that's actually 5. So it's pentoniums, right? So I could use the other one that is below it, which looks like a cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It also has 5. So I can actually ask learners the movement of this shape from where it was to that where it is now. Or you can just collect all the 5 how do they call it, the 5-sided shapes, or all these shapes with five squares, and all these with 6 squares. You can put them together and see if you can actually combine them. That way you can just trying to actually form a new shape. So you can fill the gaps and see if you can actually form, or you can, that's basically you're trying to tessellate. So that tessellate, so you can put as much of the shapes as possible to find the new shape, right? Again, I can actually try and see if you guys can understand this. Can give you some exercises. This is the only shape that I got from the book, and I can give you some other exercises that you could actually play around with regards level 2 thinkers. All right. How many minutes do we still have, Warwick?
So right. In Koza, we've got just under 7 minutes.
All right, because I've actually covered everything that I needed to say today. Next time when I see you, I'll be able to talk about locations. Locations basically will be still applying transformations, but now we'll be putting all these transformation in grids and try to find exactly where that line was actually allocated. You'll understand this. It's something that also you have already covered as well. But that's basically now trying to cover it in detail. They're trying to find the location. How much have the shape to move from where it was to a new location, and so on. The other one will be basically what we call a visualization, and also that one I think will also cover it next week, because next week I believe it's our last session. I would like to get any feedback or any questions from you. Otherwise, if you guys are not saying anything, I'll be seeing you next week.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ntokoza.
All right.
Really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And students, go and enjoy your Tuesday and have a great one. Thanks, Ntokoza.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks.